Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online video with me, Sherman. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Defiler Tank. This is a Dragon Knight tank like you've never seen before. And that, I'm not kidding. You might have seen something that's similar, but not quite this intimidating when it comes to how it works. And I know people are like using, you're using the words out of context. I'm not. This tank is just crazy. And the funny thing is that this is the first time I've actually enjoyed tanking, besides on the Dragon Guard, a DK tank. So let's get right into it. So it is an Argonian, which is right now the most popular race used for tanking because of their racial passive on potions, which personally needs to be toned down just a tad bit because it is way too powerful. As you can see here, we have a 19k magicka with a 40k health and 21k stamina because we have 10 in the magicka, 30 in the health, and 24 in the stamina here. This gives us our pools at what they're at right here, and this is really perfect for this build. We do have a decent spell critical with a really good and decent weapon critical, which is actually going to help with this build, and I'll get to that in a second. Our resistances might seem kind of low until we buff up, guys. So, oops, wrong button. So when we buff up, as you can see, we go up to 27, 23. Not ideal for something I like to play, but I will say this build just doesn't take any damage. So on either bar, you can see I'm actually swapping bars. Nothing, like no change in resistances. So it's really good to keep the resistance buff on, so you can keep those resistances up. Moving down, we are using the Lord Munda Stone. We do have Minor Slayer at all times because of the Alkosh set we are running, and we do have Ebon Armory. The Lord is really good for this because it does take our health to 40k, and we need that. We are using Tri-Stat food, and that food is the Longfin Pasty with melon sauce. Now, I love this food on live, but there's other Tri-Stat foods you can use that work identical to this. So any Tri-Stat food that you can get that's CP 150 and works just like this, that's the food you're going to want to use on live. When it comes to pots, you're going to want to use healthy pots, I think is what they're called, but they're like the same as this. They give you health, magicka, stamina back on the return, plus health, stamina, magic recovery, all 20%. So this potion thing is really good on this build, and I'll get to that when we get to a little bit more into the passive stuff on the skills. Going to the monster sets, I left the gear to look like it normally does. I just changed the color, and there's a reason for that because I wanted people to see the sets I'm actually running. So the first set I'm actually running is Thorvikins. Thorvikins is amazing, guys. An amazing set. First off, the one piece is max health. The two piece is when nearby enemies damage you, you summon a growing pool of desecrated bile for 8 seconds. Enemies in the bile receive 563 disease damage every 1 second and are afflicted with minor maim and minor defile, reducing their damage done and their healing received by 15%. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds. So every 8 seconds. It lasts for 8 seconds and every 8 seconds. So pretty much anytime you take damage, this thing will proc. And it will proc like crazy. And it's powerful. And it does grow in size, so it does get bigger and bigger in its diameter, so it applies minor maim to multiple targets. Anything standing in that circle is going to get minor maim on it. So it reduces incoming damage by 15%. This thing is crazy powerful. And we are using a light helm and a medium shoulder on this. Now, if you are using like Torix Pact or something instead of Alkosh, you can still wear this set. But you're going to want to use the medium or heavy shoulders with a medium helm because you're going to craft everything else differently. So moving on to the other set we're using is Ebon. And Ebon's a good set for group play. Gives 2-piece max health, 3-piece max health, 4-piece is healing received. And on an Argonian, or healing taken, on an Argonian is amazing. This is just like the best set in the world besides Plague Doctors. Moving on, the increased the health of your group and your allies by 1,180 in a 28-meter radius of you is really good as well. So, and that's if your allies have below 16 or at 17k health. Anything above that, it's really not it's gonna help them more, but it's just gonna give them too much health, in my opinion. Moving on to the jewelry. And the other set, we are running a 5-piece Alkosh, and Alkosh is really not a preferred set I like, but with this particular build, I like it. I do like it. Because it does grant you Minor Slayer, and it does give you the weapon critical, and it gives you the weapon damage, and the synergy stuff. And look at the synergy damage. 15,000 synergy damage. That is a lot, guys. So I like this. It also, when you synergize or activate a synergy, you in a big area of effect, you blast out a wave, applying a like minor maim, or not minor maim, like a minor fracture kind of on the enemies, but it's a little bit better. It's a 3010 physical and spell resistance debuff, so it's really good to have because that applies to your allies as well. Moving on to the swords and shields, we are using 2 well-fitted shields with 2 infused weapons with Crusher enchants on them. Now, going over the gear, the rest of the gear real quick, I want you guys to see this. We are wearing a well-fitted helm with well-fitted legs and using well-fitted shields. So we are getting a 15% reduced cost in dodge rolling. And that's going to get added to another bonus we have. So our dodge roll reduction is closer to like 32%, which saves us a lot of resources if we need to dodge roll. The smaller pieces are all sturdy, and the one big piece in the middle is reinforced. Now, all the big pieces do use tri-stats, including the shields, which is really good. And like I said on the swords, they are infused with Crusher. Now, going over the jewelry, we are using 2 Tri-Rune with shield play, which actually surprises me. Like, I actually like using just the 2. And then the third one, we are actually using a reduced stamina cost. Now, you guys are probably wondering, why a reduced stamina cost? It doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense when you see how many stamina abilities I'm actually using and versus resources using and retaining. So, it actually helps a lot. So let's go ahead and take a look at the skills. So moving on to the skills, make sure you get all your class passives, your weapon passives, and then of course on top of that get all your armor passives. So like when it comes to the essential armor ones, so like the 3 top light armor ones, get the top 2 and the bottom 1 a medium, and then all the heavy armor passives. When it comes to world skills, you can be a vampire, but I tested this with a vampire. It doesn't work that well because your health on this build, I have not seen this thing's health drop below 50% no matter how hard an enemy tries. Even in the newest trial, I did not have any problems playing in the newest trial with this build. Like, I died, yes, but that was when there was nobody else left. So, like, I didn't die from any bosses at all. Like, this thing can mitigate damage like it's going out of style. Moving on to the guild skills. I do have Silver Leash unlocked and Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker's more for dungeons. That's the reason why I have it unlocked. And then I have all the passives here unlocked as well. On the Mage's Guild, I only have Persuasive Will because I'm not using any Mage's Guild abilities. Psijic Order, I do have Deep Thoughts unlocked, and I do have the 2 passives down here, Concentrated Barrier and Deliberation. Both fantastic abilities. Whenever you block with a Psijic Order ability, you get a 5k, in this case, 5.8k shield. And then whenever you use Deep Thoughts, you get 30% damage reduction, which is crazy over the top. Moving on to Undaunted. We have both Undaunted Command and Undaunted Metal. You can use Inner Fire if you want, and you can change it into either Inner Rage or Inner Beast, your choice. We'll go with Inner Rage, and I'll show you where you can put this on the back bar if you want to use it. So moving on to the Alliance, we do have the Assault skill, Aggressive Warhorn, and Vigor unlocked, and we do not have any support abilities, but I did unlock Efficient Purge, just in case I needed it during the trial. I didn't use it, I didn't need it, so I didn't use it. Argonian Skills, make sure you have all the racial passives, mainly because this one, and I just want to go over this one because it's absurd. This one, whenever you drink a potion, it adds an additional 4,620 resources to what you get back. Now, if you guys didn't notice, those things give back 6,600 and something on normal. Like, this gives back 6,618. When you add in that 4,600, that's over 10,000 in resources back. You only have 20k resources. Like, you never run out of resources with this thing. It's crazy. Going on, though, with the Argonian Resistance, this is really good. 9% max health, and this is amazing. 5% healing done and healing taken. This is why they're very powerful tanks, by the way. Just their passives are just ridiculous. Moving on, medicinal use, really important on a DK tank, or on any tank for that matter, especially an Argonian one. And then provisioning, Gourmand and Connoisseur. Alright, so let's go over the skills. Starting with the main bar, we have Pierce Armor. This gives us our Taunt, our Major Breach, Major Fracture, which reduces enemy resistance by 5,280 by 12 seconds. The Taunt lasts 15, but you will be reapplying this every 12 seconds. This can also apply Crusher. So, like you said, you're going to want to keep this up quite a bit. I usually fire this off, wait a few seconds, and then hit Heroic Slash. So that way I have my Crusher reapplied. Now, Heroic Slash gives you minor maim to a single target, where Thorvikin reaches greater amounts of targets. So on trash pulls, things like that, everything's getting minor maim. Not just the one target you're fighting, or you have Heroic Slash on. Heroic Slash is mainly there for the ultimate gen. The damage is okay, the minor movement speed thing is okay, but not as good as it once was. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So next ability is Igneous Shield. An amazing shield. I mean, surprises me that this shield is can be so powerful when you have over 40k health. This thing can go up to 5k on your allies. I mean, where can you go wrong? You really can't. Moving on, so that's where we have it, but we also get Major Mending when we use it for 3 seconds, so we can use Green Dragon's Blood and it'll heal us for more. Green Dragon's Blood, super powerful, as you can see. Draws on your Draconic heals, Draconic Blood to heal 37% of your missing health. This ability, now I do want to say this ability does get improved by using Blessed. So the more points you put into Blessed, the stronger the heal is from Green Dragon's Blood. That 37% will go up. It also grants you Major Fortitude, Major Endurance, and Minor Vitality. The only part you really need out of that is the Major Vitality. And that's because it heals you you get more healing received. Now remember, Argonians get 5%, that's 8%. And then I think it's wearing 5 pieces. Is it 5 pieces? Wearing 5 pieces of heavy armor increases your healing received again. This thing, you get so much healing received, it's not even funny. Like DKK Argonians are super gods when it comes to healing received. Nobody competes with them. And that's why Green Dragon's Blood is so powerful on them. The next ability we have is Meditate, and as you can see, it's 1745 health with 1914 Magicka stamina return. Now this gives you, when you activate it, because of the passive, one of the passives, Deliberation, it will also give you 30% damage reduction. So when you activate this ability and it's going through its process, you have 30% damage reduction. That means your damage reduction is 30% plus your resistances plus your damage reduction itself. So if your resistances are high enough, let's say you have your buff going, your armor resistance buff, you're mitigating 40-something% of the incoming damage. Then whatever damage is left over is being mitigated by another 40%. Well, 42% in this case. Unless it's direct damage. So you're literally taking no damage hardly whatsoever when this is active. And look how much I'm getting back. 3,376. 2,141. This thing, like I said, the Argonian is crazy. And that's not even the best part. Watch what happens when I have this active. Now watch what happens when I cast it. 2,504 and 3,900 and something on crits. This thing is crazy powerful on an Argonian, like I said. So going back over this, moving on with the skills, the next ability we have is Shield Discipline. This, for the DK, is really good for resource management, especially if you're struggling with stamina, because this tank does use quite a few stamina abilities. This one allows you to activate this ultimate for 135. This will also proc your Helping Hands. Or not Helping Hands, but your Mountain from the Earth and Heart. Mountain's Blessing to give you stamina back and magicka back and all that. It'll give you all that stuff back when you activate it, and it's quite a bit. I mean, 125 times 30, or, yeah, sorry. Is it? No, it's this one, Battle Roar. Sorry. 125 times 52 health and 46 magicka and stamina. That's quite a bit, guys. So you're getting a lot of that back from Battle Roar, and you'll see it. I mean, it's massive, even from this. And this ability here is really more or less here for, like, oh crap moments when you need resources. So what it allows you to do is it allows you to use any sword and shield ability with 100% reduced cost. So this will cost you nothing. I mean, look how much it costs you now, 12.12. Look how much this costs you, 23.29. Like, practically nothing already. And this will make them cost nothing. Those two abilities. But it's mainly here for when you need resources and stamina. You're going to drop this and then heavy attack, heavy attack, heavy attack. You're going to be able to get 3 heavy attacks off before it runs out. So that's going to give you roughly about 9,000 stamina back. So it's really good when your potion's still on cooldown, you need resources. This is really good. Moving on to the back bar, this is where things are going to get a little iffy with people. The first ability we have is Silver Leash, and you're probably wondering, why am I using a stamina ability instead of their magicka ability? One, you don't want to burn through their magicka like crazy. You're going to be using Igneous Shield and Green Dragon's Blood and Hardened Armor. All of these cost quite a bit of magicka as it is. And you don't want to burn through all of it, the 19k you do have, using chains. So this is actually 3,123, and that's the main reason why we have that reduced cost. Where Unlimited Grit costs 3,441 magicka. This actually costs less than stamina. And that's why we have the reduced cost in stamina thing on our jewelry. Moving on to the next ability, we have Noxious Breath. Now, I know a lot of people are going, why do you have Noxious Breath on there? One, it does do poison damage, and it does poison damage over 10 seconds, but the main reason why we have it is the final debuff that it does, which afflicts enemies with major fracture, reducing their physical resistance by 5,280. This is crazy good, because when you go into a trash group, if you have to run around taunting everything to put minor fracture on them, when you could just go, hey, guess what? I'm just going to breathe fire on them, or breathe poison on them. Now they have that negative debuff, and that debuff lasts 10 seconds, which is 2 seconds shorter than the one from your sword and shield, or from your yeah, it's 2 seconds shorter than this. So it still lasts quite a bit of time, and it's 2,000, just under 2,000 stamina to use. When you have a 21k stamina, it's not bad. It's actually really good. The next ability we have on our bash board is Reverberating Bash. Now, you can swap this out. Now, the reason I have it on here is because the trial we tested, when we tested it in the trial, there is some healing that goes on. So having this, along with the major or the minor defile on your helmet, just gives you a ton of defile. And that's why I call it the Defiler, is because you can reduce the healing received by 45% to all those, to any target you hit, because you're going to have minor defile around you, and you're going to have major defile from Reverberating Bash. This costs 2,804. I know it seems like a lot, but it works out really, really well. And it only works best in dungeons where there's a lot of healing being done, and it's crazy powerful. Like, this setup is crazy powerful. Now, this is the one ability that you can swap out for the Undaunted taunt. But remember, this thing costs 4,000 magicka, so you're not going to be using it too often. And that's the other reason why we have this instead of the ranged, the classes taunt itself. Or chain itself, because this works just as good. And this is instant, guys. This isn't like 2 seconds, pull them. As soon as you fire it, it grabs them and pulls them, just like the chains do. The next ability we have is Resolving Vigor. Now, this, to me, is where a lot of people are going to tell me it's not very good, but it's actually really good. When you have this on, Green Dragon's Blood on, and then you pop Igneous Shield, swap bars, and hit Vigor, look at what that thing heals for. 3,264. You know, it drops to 195, or 1951. But that's like 12k health. I just got. Actually, almost 15k health I would have gotten over the amount of time it takes Vigor to work. 5 seconds. That's pretty good. And then on my allies around me, I can heal them for 6,318. So it's going to heal them too. So it's a really good kind of support skill for this particular build. The next ability we have is Hardened Armor. Now, Hardened Armor, not a lot of people like to use. This one, they like to use like Volatile Armor, or they like to use the Balance and stuff. I like Hardened Armor. It does cost a decent chunk of magicka, but the thing is that it lasts for 20 seconds. And then on top of that, you gain a damage shield for 17% of your max health. Just watch. That, plus this, plus Igneous Shield. That's a 25k shield that I can block damage from. And all I have to do is go boom, boom, boom. You know, and I've got this 25k shield, like I said, with that, or with this going, I have a 25k shield. Like, that's a lot of damage I can mitigate from one single ability plus my normal. That's a lot of damage. So it comes in really handy because of that. The last ability we have on our bar is Aggressive Warhorn. And this is here to boost everybody's max magicka, stamina, and health by 10%. And mainly used in trials, mostly used in trials. You can use it in dungeons. It also increases critical damage done by 15%. But in dungeons, the uptime on it is going to be a lot less because there's only going to be 2 of you that could be using it. That's why in dungeons, I tend to use this more often. So that's the other reason why I have Shield Discipline here. And if I'm also in dungeons and I want to get some extra DPS in there for my group, I do use Flawless Dawnbreaker, because on that front bar, it does give me extra weapon damage. Just so you guys can see, my weapon damage does go up to 1654, which does increase the damage of Heroic Slash by a little bit, and this. But it also affects other things as well. Because if I can pop Vigor quick enough, when I swap bars, I still maintain that 5% weapon damage. So, that's kind of nice. But it just depends on the situation, the group, and all that. Normally, it would be this. So, but it's really up to you. Really fun build. Like I said, if you want something different from the atypical, you know, and I hate to say this word, meta, but it is different from that. It's really good. But let's go ahead and move on to the CP, which you guys aren't going to notice much of a difference, but you will when we get to the blue tree. So 56 in Ironclad, reducing damage taken from direct damage attacks by 20%. 23 in the Thick Skin, reducing damage taken from damage over time effects by 10%. 56 in a Hardy, 56 in Elemental Defender, both reducing physical poison, disease, flame, frost, shock, and magic damage by 12%. Moving on over here, we have 40 into Bastion. This increases the effectiveness of your damage shields by 16%. This is really just enough for the DK to make them really good. So that's why I put the 40 points in here, because of their damage shield and that barrier shield from the Meditate and all that. Moving on, Quick Recovery, 19 points, increased healing received by 5.2%. It's only 5%. Which stacks with the other 5% you have from being an Argonian, plus the dragon, your elemental dragon stuff from the Dragon Knight passive, 12%, the 8% from the armor, you know, all that other 8%. It's just crazy how much healing received you can get out of this build. Moving on to the green tree, we have 56 in the Warlord, reducing break free cost by 20%. 23 into Bashing Focus, reducing our bash cost by 14%. With this in the block cost reduction things, the shield play enchants, you actually get reduced bashing too. Your bashing costs you like 600 points. It's freaking awesome. Next, we have Sprinter, 3 points, which reduces our sprint cost by 2%. Really not needed, but it kind of helps. 43 into Tenacity, increasing our magic and stamina return for fully charged heavy attacks. We are using just stamina weapons, so we are only getting that benefit. Moving on over here, we have 44 into Tumbling with a 17% reduced dodge roll cost. with the 3 well fitted, guys, watch what happens when I dodge roll. Barely over 2k. So it saves us quite a bit of resources in that dodge roll, and that's the reason why we have those points in here at 17%. Next, we have 81 into Shadow Ward, reducing our block cost by 24%. This stacks with those sturdy pieces, the block cost reduction. It only costs us like 700 points to block, maybe even less. I think it's like 600 and something to block. It's not much. It's really not. Moving on to the blue tree, we have 43 into Bless, 23 into Elfborn. The 43 gives us 10% healing done, which applies to our green dragon's blood and our vigor. And we have 23 here, increasing our critical healing done from the green dragon's blood by 10%. That's only if it affects us. Moving on to the middle tree, we have 40 points in a Master at Arms. This is just to get Reposit, and as you can see, Reposit gives us quite a decent amount of damage back when the enemy hits us. And that's because Reposit is based on stamina and actually weapon damage more than anything. Moving on to the final bar here, or the final tree, which is the final blue tree, we have 43 in a Mighty. This increases physical damage done by 10%, so it's going to make our Heroic Slash, our light attacks, our heavy attacks, all that be increased by 10%. It's also going to increase the poison damage from our Noxious Breath by 10%. We have 40 into Thaumaturge. This is there to increase that poison damage from Noxious Breath. It makes us a little bit more viable in solo play when we're fighting a lot of enemies or whatever. We're just playing through the game content. This is why I actually like this build, is because I've played it in both normal and solo, or like in group, dungeons, trials, and in solo play, and it works across the board, but it does take a little bit longer to kill enemies, but it's still a little bit funner than normal. Last but not least is 56 into Precise Strikes. Now, we have 56 in here to increase the healing effectiveness of Vigor when it crit heals, but also for the extra critical damage we might do from Noxious Breath or from our own light or heavy attacks and things like that. This is a really good, just overall fun build, and it works out really well, and it's surprising to me how much I am actually enjoying this. Because I usually hate DK tanks, and hate's a strong word, but it's true. So I'm going to go ahead and take this to go hang out in a trial. I tested this build prior to this, guys. Just letting you know, prior to the EU stuff and this latest patch and the last patch. Before it became EU, I actually tested this build live. Or not live, but with a group in PTS, but when it was on the US side. Because I had access to a few other things that I could give my character, like those health pots. So, but I'm just going to show you guys a little bit about this build. I'm going to actually use it in the Cloud Rest trial so you guys can see for yourselves how it works. Now, I am in here on normal. I would normally come in here on veteran mode to test, but I just kind of want to show you guys like how much damage this thing can mitigate. And how well it can work with the way it's set up. So, and we're not going to go up against the final boss. We're actually going to go up against the first trashing, like the first minor boss encounter, which isn't too bad. I actually like this trial. I love the way it's set up, but I like to play it in veteran, not in veteran hard mode. I really like it in veteran mode. This thing is like when you take on each boss individually, it's a lot of fun. It's just super fun to do. So as you guys can see here, the encounters, like how many mobs we have, we will be fighting that person there along with these things. But the main thing we're trying to take out is the creeper tentacles. So I'm getting my vigor going. I'm gonna go ahead and put Noxious Breath on these guys. Now look at this. Watch what happens when they hit me. You see that pile, the vial thing that's going around? And I died because there's a lot in here, a lot more than the normal trial. But I'll go ahead and give it one more go. And these guys have also an insane amount of health, like a lot more than they do in normal trials. Like if I'm in under normal, yeah. Like a lot more than a standard trial where you see like VMA or something like that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get my buff up. I want to get Vigor going, and I want to get Green Dragon's Blood and this ready. And you guys saw that, like how much damage I just took. Look at that. I can do that. I can pop a potion. If I get too dangerous, I can go into, like, meditate. I can go to meditate. Meditate. There we go. And I can pop this again. Do a heroic slash. Do this. You know, just the amount of, like I said, the amount of things you can do with this build is just crazy. And if you're in a group, this goes a lot smoother. I just wanted you guys to see that. This is a really, really fun build, though. I really do enjoy it. But you do have to be mindful, just like with any build. If you don't know it very well, like I haven't been playing this one that much, to be honest. Like this week, I've been mostly messing around with my ice tank. So this is kind of a different play. Like it plays differently. So I got to get my mindset to it and stuff. I'm not using it, you know, I might be using, seeming like I'm using excuses, and it is an excuse, but at the same time, it's the truth. Like, it takes me a little bit to get used to playing this build from my standard, you know, from what I've been used to playing. So, but yeah, it's a really cool build, and I hope you guys like it. It is very powerful. It does work very well, and yes, it can work in the trials. And like I said, the great thing about it is the fact that you can apply this, you know, to multiple targets kind of thing. You can apply, you know, pull enemies, all that kind of stuff. And when in a group, you're not even going to notice. Like, you're going to have so much going on when you're in a group that you're going to be able to just stand there and do exactly what I was doing. Like, you're going to be able to just keep your abilities managed really well in a group. So, but that's pretty much the build, guys. That is the Defiler Tank, which I hope you guys like. I know it's a little bit different from my normal, but I enjoyed it. I loved it. I'm having a blast with it. So if you guys like this build, you guys can hit that like button. If you guys want to see more build videos by me or other videos by me, you can hit that subscribe button. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye.